Alright, CVT lesson for Jeff. This is Miranda Lambert with Little Red Wagon. You wanted parts. You wanted all the lead parts. Dude, you did a superb job of time stamping. So everything that you sent me is time stamped. I still haven't looked up who Miranda's guitar player is. This guy is amazing. I'm sure he's a studio guy. By studio guy, probably works with a lot of different bands. I got to thinking, this was one of the toughest. And I've done some tough CVT lessons. Kind of from an innovation standpoint, but primarily what I discovered, and I had to discover this, is you have a standard tuned guitar for the primary parts in here. You have, at one point, the capo on fret 2 on a harmonic section that's coming up, because I could not find the harmonics in standard tuning. I'm like, going, what is going on? I don't like music to beat me like that, you know what I mean? I can hear these tones and pitches. So I got to thinking, okay, well, if we put a capo on the guitar, you know, when you record in the studio, you can do this stuff all day long. How they do this live, I don't know. Because the harmonics, the capo is only on this little tiny part where there's some harmonics going on. And then the third aspect to this, we have standard tuning. We have standard tuning with the capo applied to the second fret on just a small part in the song. And then we have an acoustic guitar in a small part in here. But here's the catch, man. The acoustic is tuned to B standard, which is like a 7-string guitar with your B on the top. And then it's tuned like a standard tuned guitar. No joke. I'm not kidding you, man. I discovered this, and I'm confident that I'm right on this. I mean, a low B, you know, you're not going to catch a low B in standard tuning. So, I mean, I had to experiment and try this and try that. I didn't have any other tools except my ears. And then it's slap bass to top it off. So this dude's brilliant, man. I'm gonna look up who he is. If you have questions as far as how to construct this with your band, don't hesitate to ask, because you're not going to be able to have someone come on stage and just clamp the capo on there for, you know, this part and hand you an acoustic for the drop B part. You may have to take the acoustic slap part. Well, I don't know, you may have several guitar players, but if it's just you, it's going to be a little tricky, okay? Maybe play it an octave up, you know, take the note melody, and I can help you do that. Everything's notated in your tabs. So we got the electric at standard tuning, the acoustic at B standard, which another word for that is 2.5 steps flat. I put a basic EQ guesstimation and an effects guesstimation, which as far as effects, there's reverb and there's a wah-wah pedal in a certain part, and like some weird compression in some of these solos. Okay, so let's jump in. This is just a bag of tricks. I had a blast doing it, man, and I'm liking that it didn't beat me. So at the intro here, we've got this. The very first thing that you wanted was time stamped 5 seconds into the song, which would be this. If you listen really close, you'll hear a fret hand mute. That's just lightly sticking your fingers. I prefer more fingers rather than less, because you run the risk of hitting a natural harmonic if you just stick one finger there, or maybe some string tone coming through. You just want a mute, okay? And it's not hugely loud. You're not doing that, just like that. 9A, where you do your muting should be right where your next note is, which is the 9th fret on the A string with the 3rd finger. And 7th fret on the A with the 1st. The reason you want them both down is we're doing a pull off. We're going to pick the 9, pull off to 7, go to 9E, and then 7A. You'll have a line there in your tabs for a rest, and then slide it. Just slide it till you run out of room. Stick your hand over the strings. That's it with the mute. And then from there, still within that same timestamp, there's a ascending, descending slide from approximately fret 2 up to 11, and then back down. It's just the feel of this, but I try and get the start points for the slides and everything, so that's all it is. 2 up to 11, back to 2. But don't go, you know what I mean? It's just your start and your end, and then coming back. fret, and then we rest there. The next thing at 9 seconds, that was your second timestamp. There's the 4th fret on the A string, and to me it sounds like it's being plucked, which wouldn't surprise me, being that we have some slap acoustic coming up later in the song. And so 4A, I don't know if this is a new concept for you. Let me drop this down a little. But take your index finger or your middle. You have to tuck the pick away kind of and go, well, if you keep the pick here, you can pluck with your middle. I like to use my index, but so you're going to go, it's 4A, and it's just a pluck. And the reason I think so is it's got a sharp attack to it, where a pick isn't going to be as, it's got a pop sound. And then again, but you'll hear a mute and then a pluck again. So with the mute, this is a technique used on funk bass for slap. So kind of hold your hand like this, mute. I do it like this. Actually, in this case, I do 2 different types. The old karate chop type, but in this case, we can just stick the, you know, all across your knuckles here. Just come down on the strings, and then have that first finger or middle underneath the A so you can pluck. So it's, okay, and then after that, you'll pluck the 4, and then do the mute pluck. So we'll have, alright, at 19 seconds, that's that last one actually. There's a big pause in there before you do the final mute pluck. That'll come in at 19 seconds. A minute 6, we have fret 12, just a descending slide. And this is kind of a little solo interlude thing here that goes, and then you'll go. Checking that tuning, we're good. I have a floating trim, so when I go to do a bend, I gotta be careful because it makes the next string flat. But he's not letting them ring together, so I can make that work. 16G, 3rd finger, back it with a couple fingers, pick, bend a whole step. A whole step is 2 frets. You can test it by going there. Pinky 17B. So we have 14th fret on the G and B, just bar that with your first finger. So we have, and hit them both. And then 2 octaves. We're going to do 14D, 17B. This is pick and middle finger. So you're going to kind of pinch them both together like this. Alright, they're the same note. It's an E note here and an E note here. So the pick will handle the D, the middle finger will handle the B. Don't have them straight on top of each other. Offset, middle finger back behind it. Pinch them together 2 times. The next one, just take your middle finger, go to 14B. We get rid of the pinky, do the same thing. So it's 14 and 14 now. So it's a real interesting sounding riff, man. That's what I found through all of this. Very against the grain, not norm sounding. Really like this guitar player. And then 14G and B. And I would just shift the finger like, oops. Again. Slow down. Or if you took it from here. Alright, at a minute 10, we have this. You know who a little bit this player reminds me of is a guitar player named Eric Johnson. Some of the stuff he does. Like this, what we just did, and this. You'll go 16D and 14B. You can use your index and middle or index and 3rd, either one. Same concept. Pick the D and middle finger will handle the B. And then just move them both up 1 string each. Same frets and everything. So we have, alright, and then 14, 12, 14 on the E. Or 14, 12, 14, and then slide that 14. So we have, again, one more time. Okay, then a minute 12. This was really bizarre. total abstract. It goes, you can use your middle finger to pluck the 15B. Once again, it sounds like a plucked note to me, so I'm going with my gut on that. It'll be pluck that and then go 13G, rest with a half step bend. Remember half step? We're just bending this G sharp to an A. And then pluck the 15 high E, half step bend to 13G. That sounds like this. It's really weird sounding. Oops. And then 13 high E, pluck that with the middle, half step bend, and then 13G. So slow down, it's oops, I forgot the bend. After that, you'll go 17B. So you'll have, let's play it up to the 17B that we're gonna pluck and bend a whole step, and then do a release and a bend back up with it. Sounds like this. Oops, I'm on 16, ain't I? Alright, one more time. And that's that one. Very odd. 1:15. I'm really liking this. This is a little more of a familiar sound. That part. Again. Slowed down. It's called a double stop. Bar the 12th fret on the E and B. You're gonna hit those two strings, do a hammer to 13B, pull off to 12. And as you're doing this, actually, hold on a sec, that's the next part. Hammer to 14 on the B. The thing is, you'll see a hold line on your tabs. Make sure that you hear both notes after you hammer. A lot of times people go to do that, and this third finger will do the hammer, but it'll mute out the 12 on the high E. You don't want that. You should hear 2. Okay, and then this time we do the 12-12, hammer 13, pull to 12. Here we can still hear that E note on fret 12 on the high E. So that together it's, and then 14G. And then repeat the first part. And then the next part, we don't have to double stop it, just go 12B, hammer 13, pull to 12, 14G, and that sounds like this. And if you have to subgroup this stuff, that's already a subgroup. Alright, and then 11G, slide that. So at 1:15, here's what you're looking at. Slow it down. Alright, 1:17 into the song, we've got this. And this has a familiar sound too. It goes. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. So once again. We keep doing the same mistake on the simple part. So let's break that down. 7E, first finger. 9E, third finger. You want to palm mute this, which that makes stuff a little trickier because it's a palm mute with a slide. You don't hear that a lot. Slide up to 11. 9A, down up, no palm muting, to 11A. So we have 9D, 9A, 7E, slide to 9, pick 3 times, and then we move to page 2. Oh yeah, this part was cool. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick on this part. That's something he did in Ain't That a Shame. It's a kind of a blues run here, country as well. And it'll be, hold on here. Yep. So. Once again. Again. So what you'll do on that, middle finger, fingering will be pretty important on this. Middle finger 13 G, slide to 15. It's a hold, so you're going to let that ring. Go to 14 on the E. Leave this down because of that hold. And you want to pick up on the E and then go G, E, G, E, G. So basically that's alternate picking there. Not basically, but it is. Then go 16E, 16G, 16E. Use your third and second. Third E, second G. Go up, down, up on that. E, G, E. Down on 16G, half step slide to 17. Leave it ringing. Go 17 high E up. Down on 17G. That's still a hold. And then move that whole shape a half step sharp up to 18. So you'll see an 18, an X, and an 18. The X symbolizes a mute. So you're going to strum those three. And if you were to play as an arpeggio, there's your dead note, your mute. So we have. Messed it up. Very cool part. Then the capo comes in on fret 2. And like I said, if you have questions on how to pull this off live, you're gonna have to hit me up. These harmonics cannot be hit without this capo on fret 2. It just will not work. Harmonics are particular to certain frets over other ones. It's going to be 7, 5, 7 on the E. Now here's the deal. We're on fret 2, so fret 2 is our opens now. So if I say fret 7, like this fret right here is now fret 1. We can't do anything back here, so just pretend this is opens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you're used to looking at your dots, that may throw you off a little bit here, but you know, if you had no capo, it's 9, 7, 9. But we have a capo, so we're calling it 7, 5, 7. Harmonics on the E. Okay? And you know, I haven't heard you play. You said you're going to send me something, but so I don't know if you know how to play harmonics. Light pressure. I have a feeling you do though. You're playing in bands and stuff. So light pressure right above the silver fret wire there. Real light pressure. As soon as you pick, move the finger. That's a harmonic. We have different types. We have pinch harmonics, that's a whole different type. These are natural. And then head over to fret 5. Do the same thing right above the fret wire itself. 7, 5, 7. And then 7 on the B, 7 on the B string. So we have. It's tough because they're in there pretty quick. So you're gonna probably want to alternate pick this. After that, you're going to go 12B, which is 2 past the double dots, right? And you'll do a quick rest there. So we have. Making sure the tuning's right. Capo will make you go a little sharp in a bad way sometimes if it clamps the string wrong. And then 14 high E, and if that wasn't crazy enough, you'll hear it go up a whole step and back down. Well, the only way to do that, well, they make pedals that'll do that, the whammy for you, but take the whammy bar and pull it up a whole step and bring it back to pitch. You don't swoop down like dive bomb style. Oops. don't want to bust a string here. And there you go. That's the only time, dude, that the capo is in there. All right. Let me see. I think that's it for harmonics. Yeah. And the next part is acoustic, which we're going to put that in part 2, and we're going to be at B standard.